Hello, everybody. Welcome to Into the Score. It's me again, Avishai Darash, as always, in the chair here hosting this podcast. How have you been? It's been a week since we've seen each other. You know, I've been doing this intro for so long. I've been withered by the years. No, I'm actually kidding. The thing is that usually I would say we're talking to interesting people, arts and culture and all that, but actually what we're doing here is we're getting to know people through a conversation. And I got to say that my guest for today, we got to know each other through social media. And we started to ping pong with each other because we have mutual interests. And we got to actually to the same conclusion that we kind of vibe with each other. Sure. And I was like, man, this cat is a pretty serious cat. And I got to have him here on the podcast. He's smiling right now, sitting next to me.
Wow.
Johnny Agisilaou, what's up, man?
Hey man, first of all, thank you for your kind words and for the invitation to be here today. It's such an honor. Been watching you, as you mentioned on socials, pretty killer cat yourself, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Really like your music and really like what you're doing with editing your videos. It's like, wait for it, he's going to go for it. You always comment on the drummers and stuff. I like that sort of interaction because sometimes literally that's what happens in my head when I play with people. You know, it's like, you make people understand that are not, let's say, in our industry, like what's going on a bit. And that's beautiful. That's great, man. I love it.
I mean, what I love about the whole thing with social media is that it just, you have possibilities with that. You know, you have possibilities of showing like just facets of your own character. You know, some people take it to a more vulnerable side. Some people take it to a more funny side, you know. But the thing is, at the end of the day, you're curating your own image there. Right. Which is by default a little bit narcissistic in that sense.
I could say, yeah.
We're creating this a little bit of like narcissistic avatars of ourselves. But at the same time, like if you can inject your own personality in it, it just becomes like a really special thing. You're also a killing cat. Well, both like to each other. But the thing is,
jeez.
Can you take me, like I always ask this question, take me please from the beginning of your story. I want to know who you are. I want to get to know you through this conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me here. It's such a pleasure to be in this beautiful city of Amsterdam today. It's sunny for people that are not looking at the window today, but it's a beautiful day.
This is sunny also. Like,
yeah, it's like, hello, we're getting a tan today. So I was born and raised in Limassol, Cyprus. I'm currently 30 years old. I was the only child of two very progressive parents for their time. And I'm saying progressive because they always enforced me to seek for what's next. Stay curious. I've never had this, you shouldn't do that, or we won't help you do that. I'm very grateful for my upbringing so far. And, my dad was in 1995. He was the owner of the first summer nightclub in Cyprus. So this is like, I was 1 year old or something. So I was already like steeped into, the music, the night, and just people gathering for that energy, right? Yeah. And I was exposed to all of this like live performances. I mean, my parents wouldn't take me to the club at like 2 a.m, just to make it clear. But they were always, I would go with them to meetings and I would meet top-notch musicians from back home and from actually all over the world. So that was a bit my childhood. And I got this, fascination for drums. Every time I looked at the drums, I was like, damn, I want to play them drums, It just really tickled me on the inside. And then around the age of 7, I started taking my first drum lessons. And that just changed my whole life. Started listening to a lot of Kiss. Kiss was my favorite band, man. I was like, I want to be like Peter Criss on the drums, play and smash the drums and get all the ladies afterwards. We were talking about that. And basically
we were talking about how pure music is. It comes from a place of love and connection. Never to get pussy, recognition, validation. Never. Oh, it's an extension of our divine higher self.
Exactly.
Sorry, yeah, continue.
That's amazing. So that was I'm sorry, this is too funny, man. Great. So that was my first like tickle. I was like, I want to play drums. So my dad was like, okay, let's get you to a drum lesson. So I went for a drum lesson. That was it. Growing up was quite interesting. My parents at some point faced quite a financial problem while I was growing up. So I really had to see them struggling and working hard and trying to provide for a kid.
Wow.
So I think that shifted.
How old were you when that happened?
I think I was about 7 or 8. So they were still trying to push me to do things for me, for my future, and they would help me out, even in their struggles. So then eventually, 3 or 4 years later after that, things were better. My parents were back at their feet, and again, I also felt that energy in the house changing. It was more calm. I want to share this story not because, let's say, it's just a story that I carried with me for so long. I remember I wanted to buy because my parents, both of them had records, right? They had CDs and tapes. And they had like a very wide taste. They had from Coltrane to Ozzy Osbourne, from Ozzy Osbourne to Metallica, whatsoever. So I would always steal their CDs. I was just listening to them, right? But I would be like, oh, I like this. So around the age of 6 or 7, that was the time when they were facing this financial issue they had. I wanted to buy an album, man. I saw it. I went to the record store because I would spend hours in record stores as a kid. And I wanted to buy it. So what I did, I saved my lunch money every day for a whole week. It was about 8 Cypriot pounds back then. We still had pounds in Cyprus. Crazy. And I went to the store, and then I returned home to my grandma's. But I had to fake that I have a tummy ache because I wanted to hide that album in my shirt, because I didn't want to show my parents that, hey, I just spent the money you gave me for a whole week, while knowing you're going through some stuff. So it was a way of me like not putting my parents in a difficult position, like our son is going out and buying CDs while we're struggling here, So that was a little thing that I did. And eventually when I told them that I had a CD, they were laughing first, and then they got super emotional about it because they were like, our kid has this kind of like perception and yeah, I always looked up to them, man. Still do. The relationship was not so great always, but I'm very grateful for what they've accommodated for me, let's say. As a teenager now, music was getting deeper in my system. I started joining, I used to be in the metal scene a lot in Cyprus. I was 15 years old, had this crazy death metal band called Procreation. We were like 14 years old or something. And we were like the youngest kids that played this music and played it well. I don't usually talk like this about myself, but for our age, like I listen to some recordings from back then, I'm like, damn, we played that? So that was a thing that really, attracted me. And we were really working hard for it. We played some festivals in Greece as well and in Cyprus. We had quite the following for our age, and we kept pushing until we were 17. But at the same time, simultaneously, I also fell in love again with listening to jazz, from my parents' records always. And
So when you were 17?
No, this is a bit earlier. This is 14.
Okay.
Then I just was like, yeah, I love metal so much. I love playing rock and metal, but I feel that I need to expand something in my life. So I went back to this record setup my parents had, and there was this Art Blakey album, right? And
Messengers?
Messengers, of course. Yeah. And it was not the one with like the Blue Note, the standard with Moaning On and Along Came Betty. I don't even remember. It was just one of those CDs that had like a picture of Blakey on the outside just playing drums. And then I was like, damn, this is amazing, the swing, the rhythm, it was just so deep. Yeah. And I'm telling you now, and I'm getting the chills actually just by thinking about that time. Look at this. It made me feel so much in line with myself and with the music. And that's why I think Art Blakey holds a huge value inside of me. And I think that's the reason why I wanted to do this project that I have currently. Moving on, at that time, something that really flipped, I think, my whole personality, like 180, was at the age of 15. Both my parents contracted cancer simultaneously.
Wow.
On their kidneys. So that was, I think my mom got diagnosed on a Monday, and then 3 days later, my dad was diagnosed too with it.
Wow.
And that just shifted like so much. And I was like, okay, here you are. You got no siblings. But at that moment, I found anchor in my grandmother from my mother's side, which she was like my biggest inspiration at the time.
Yeah.
Because she taught me 4 things, and that was be kind and polite, work hard, stand up for what you believe in, and most important from it all was like never complain without taking action.
It's very stoic.
My grandma was a great woman. She was powerful. I think she still is one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to ethics and values. And then after that, the whole financial and, family illnesses, always had music, really helped me to be okay with things. And around the age of 17, I finished high school. And as, I don't know if all of the people who are watching know, I mean, probably Cyprus has mandatory military service of back then was 24 months, so 2 years of my life. So here I am, 17 years old, finishing high school, and I'm like, okay, I got to spend 2 years. What the hell should I do with it? Then I chose to go to the Special Forces, which was a big challenge. It was intense, very intense. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody who has a soft spot or a soft heart because it taught me so much, from discipline to mental toughness to teamwork.
Yeah, we talked a lot about it. Yeah,
Exactly.
Can you iterate? Can you tell me more about it, that experience, if you don't mind?
Of course. About the Special Forces.
Yeah,
sure. I'll never forget the days that we would have, we were in teams of 2. I'll never forget that my whole life. And we had this kind of exercise someone in the mountains in Cyprus. And we had a bottle of water, half a liter for 2 people. And then we had to share with each other because every night we had to do a special operation. Everything was an exercise. But then you had to find food. We didn't have no cell phones, no money. We just had that bottle of water. So we had to help each other, find food. Okay, I'll never forget. One day we were so hungry, we're like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to go to this village. We're going to go to this kiosk. I'm going to tell them, hey, we're in the Special Forces. We're training right now. We're starving. Can we get us some stuff, because we're going to die out here. So this great man, he was about 70 at the time. God bless his soul. He was like, yeah, guys, come on, take whatever you want, Just make sure that you don't get seen. Because if we got seen and we got caught, then they would F us up big time.
Yeah.
We didn't, thank God. But after that, we call it the interrogation school or the captive school. So what happens is after 4 days of us being out in the mountains and doing exercises, we got caught. And that was 10 hours of torture, man. And I'm not talking about... It's 10 hours of not knowing where the hell you're at because you're blindfolded, hands behind your back with tie-ups. But you feel this energy with other people around you that they're going through the same pain in a way. And that gives you this motivation of you know what? If my friend next to me can do it and we have each other still in this chaotic moment, we can all do it. And I'm not saying that everyone has to go through that to understand what teamwork is, but that just really, really shaped my understanding of what teamwork means. Yeah. Suffering together is one part, and understanding that responsibility sometimes is does not only fall on one person, but it can fall on 2 people. And that's beautiful, sharing something together with someone, either you call it Special Forces or the stage. It holds a lot of value to me. The community part, the teamwork. Because if you have two people around you that have the same vision for what you're believing in, then I think the goal is just it gets easier to achieve that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's one thing of teamwork and a great example of being in the special forces. Other than that, it was a great experience. Taught me a lot about discipline, waking up on time, shaving every day. Doing your bed when you wake up, people. Doing your bed when you wake up. That's very important.
Yeah.
It's a rule that I follow 13 years later still.
Yeah.
I'll never go out of the house without making my bed. Even if the whole house is a mess, which is definitely not, I'm going to make sure that I do my bed. I don't know, it just creates this structure. And yeah, after the special forces, I spent a year in the UK. I was in Cambridge for a year, and
For what?
well, I figured, all right, I'm gonna go study musicology, and the truth is, like, I followed my very, very first girlfriend at the time because she was already studying in the UK. So I was like, I'm so in love with this girl, She was my first relationship, high school love,
Like
etc.
20, 21?
I was 19. So I was like,
What a child.
yeah, I was like, kid.
What a
So I went to the UK for a year, which was a great experience because it really made me understand that I want to come to the Netherlands to study music at Codarts in Rotterdam, because my drum teacher in Cyprus, he was also an alumni from Codarts. So I really wanted to come here in the first place to study music and drums specifically. And I was like, you know what? I don't like the UK. So I broke up with the girl, moved back home for some time, did my whole preparation. And 1 year later, I was in Rotterdam studying. So that's the best thing that I've ever done to myself. And here I am today. After Codarts, I went to The Hague, did my master's in jazz drums. And 3 years later, I'm still living here. Got my own projects going on. As you know, Art of the Messengers, which we have quite a few dates coming up this year, and I'm very, very happy about that, alongside other exciting projects that are starting this year. I look forward to as well. But in a nutshell, that's who I am, shaped by heavy music and soft melody, discipline and vulnerability. What else? And that's it. Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for.
Yeah.
I like how prepared you are to the podcast. It's
No,
nice.
yeah, maybe I did.
But you are.
Took some notes.
Believe me, you're like number 39. You're prepared.
Oh, thank you.
Joao also knows it. You're very prepared. I like it. I was
Thank
like,
you.
let me check my notes and stuff. I want to go.
Shit.
I want to go deeper into that.
Let's
I want
go.
to go deeper into that. What was the effect of you seeing your parents going through that financial struggles? What was that feeling that you had as a kid?
Wow. The first conscious feeling that I got was insecurity. Not insecurity, like, it was more about my parents are struggling hard. And the biggest contradiction in my life at the time was like going to school, right? And seeing other kids feeling happy, no stress at the time. And I was always in my head, I was like, damn, I'm going to go back home. And I know that the situation back home is like, I have to think my money. I have to, like, what are my parents going to do? I also kind of felt helpless at the time. It's like a little bit of my innocence was gone. And honestly, I'm not sad at all about it, to be honest. Like, I'm actually pretty happy.
No,
because
no
it
worries.
really
No one
shaped
is
me.
pitying you.
No, I don't want no pity. That's not what I'm saying this for. It's just that was.
I'm asking this because these are kind of like foundational experiences that eventually they become a very positive thing.
Exactly.
Eventually, it's like iron sharps iron in that
Exactly.
type of like perception. And I'm asking it because I have small kids. I have a kid of 13. I have a kid of 5
bless
and a
them.
half. And it's a complete blessing, and it's also a fucking headache sometimes. But he knows. No, but the reason I'm saying it is because I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of your parents, actually,
Right.
to be able to get to this point of like, of course, I don't know the history of what happened.
Of course.
I can imagine that there were some decisions that were made. Of course, I'm only assuming there were decisions that were made,
Yeah.
and that didn't fall through.
Of course.
And all of a sudden, it's like, fuck, we're
Yeah.
in the situation right now,
Yeah.
and we have like obligations coming or resources that we need to like
Exactly.
put in,
Exactly that.
put in now, or we're in the street or something, or some other implications of that type of actions that they took.
Right.
And when you're a parent and you realize that you stop living, of course, I don't know the nature of your parents. I'm of course assuming again, when you're a parent and you realize that from your choices, your kids are going to suffer from that. That's like a heavy load on your consciousness.
Oh, big time.
And it's something as an adult that unless you treat it properly, you carry it. And it gets flared up.
Exactly.
It gets flared up. Do you feel sometimes, are your parents alive still?
Yeah, both of them.
So you feel sometimes that it gets flared up?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
My mom to this day will come to me and she'll tell me, remember when we were going through stuff and I told you, you're going to be able to have an education and you're going to be happy with your life and, have a house with a pool, because as a kid I wanted a house with a pool. That was my thing. And bless their souls, man. Bless my parents' souls. They managed to do everything.
Yeah.
So in this insecurity that I felt, I also felt a lot of security afterwards.
Yeah.
And I could never ask for better parents, to be honest, and a family in that sense. They were all supportive, from my auntie from my mom's side, to my grandpa from my mom's side, to my grandma from my dad's side, and my grandpa from my dad's side. Everybody was just helping out, whatever they could. If they would take me for 2 days because my parents had to work overtimes, they would do that.
Yeah.
Like in a jiff. They wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah.
So at the same time, even though that I had this perception of what was going on, and I felt this insecurity, I always kind of like felt that there's like light at the end of the tunnel, as cliche as it sounds,
Yeah.
And the impact that it has on me today is that when everything seems to fall apart around me, whatever that is, I take a moment, I sit back, and I'm like, okay, the only thing I can do now is rebuild and shape to become better.
Yeah.
I never think that there's not a solution about this. I always try to remember that every time everything falls apart, and I say this with my eyes closed because it's like a form of meditation of mine, we can rebuild and be better.
Of course.
And that's one thing that taught me. And on the practical side, I'm very cautious about my financial doings and my deals, or the way I book concerts, or who I'm sharing my financial things with. I'm very cautious about that. As I said, I'm 30. I'm single. I have no kids at the time, no pets. I live alone. I'm a foreigner in this country, so I'm making a good living.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for that as well. And I'm getting to meet super interesting people like yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I hear you, because it's one of these things that at the moment we cannot see the beneficial aspect of it, But what you're saying is, I see so many, of course, as someone that is standing from the outside, I see so many correlations also with the choices that you made afterwards for yourself.
Right.
Talking about your physique, for instance, 15 years of work to put in something like this.
Thank you.
And it makes me think about this sentence: you're going to suffer anyway. Which kind of suffering are you putting on your plate? Are you going to put suffering of negligence? Are you going to put suffering of avoidance? Are you going to put suffering that is originating or stemming from lack of awareness? Or are you going to suffer from waking up and actually starting to take responsibility for your actions?
Exactly.
You're going to suffer. No worries about it.
Of course.
It's going to be hard.
Of course.
And I think also with the special forces, that also taught you that.
Of course, big time.
Big time. I mean, I have my history with military. I grew up with a father that was like high up in the military. We had, make your bed and all that stuff.
Of course.
And I saw also a person that his willpower just, it's quite amazing, I have to say, when it comes to my dad. Like, I commend him on that he's a person that has such control over his mind. Like, this is what Navy SEALs, that's what they teach them.
Right.
You know? They teach Navy SEALs to just, if it's not working here, don't
Right.
even waste, don't bother
Exactly.
a second
Exactly.
on that.
That's sorry to interrupt. That's the mentality of being in a special forces unit. Either you call it the SEALs, either the Delta Rangers, either the paratroopers. That's the mentality, the willpower.
Yeah, the willpower, exactly. And then it just seeps into every aspect of your life.
Exactly.
You know? Again, talking about your physique, it's impossible to have it without consistent work. The way that you play drums, it's impossible to have it without consistent work to make the proper deals. Look, you're gonna fuck up, huh? Like,
Definitely.
you're gonna play the wrong note.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to lift something
yeah.
too heavy. You're gonna have like a sore muscle. You're hopefully never injure yourself in all aspects, all that stuff. But the next day that the sun comes up and you are showing up again, that's what matters.
Exactly.
Because it's so chaotic around us constantly. This constant irregularity of either emotions, decisions, people, just frantic behavior from our environment.
Yeah.
But the practice is the thing that keeps it. You know, like we had, if I'm looking just at this podcast, it's like we made a promise to ourselves and also to Joshua, we're uploading one every single week.
Wow.
I think it was like something like we said up to 1,000 or something. It was like, we're going to just make it and the things will start coming into it.
Yeah.
Because consistency and in such an inconsistent world is a fucking virtue.
Wow. Yes,
you
sir.
know? You showing up at the gym every single day consistently for your well-being in your body is... You are already in a fraction of a percent of society if you think about it.
True.
It doesn't mean you're better. It doesn't mean you're worse. It just means that you're making different decisions.
Exactly.
Again, tell me about the first experience that you had with actually being exposed to jazz in that sense. Because I see some similarities between us. Like it's just like this physical experience and like,
Right.
this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. you know?
Right. My first experience as in playing a jazz concert. Wow.
Or actually, no. First experience listening to jazz.
Listening to jazz. Wow.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course. That's why I got the chills also like a while ago. It was so chaotic, but it made so much sense. Like the first time, because I had no idea what the form is, what the melody is. I had no idea when is this cut going to take a solo? What is a bass solo? What is trading? What is that? I had no clue, man. And for some crazy reason, everything made sense. I was like, wow, this is like...
Organized chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Like, boom, in your face. I'm like, wow, I'm listening to fucking Slayer like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like banging my head like a crazy person. And then I go back to this, listening to Blakey. What I think I even remember the tune that they were playing. I think they were playing not in Tunisia. You know, he has this huge ass drum solo intro. It's like like all that. I'm like, wow. It's like you can actually headbang to this, you know what I'm saying? It's like he was such a force of nature, man. He was like in your face.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he always knew when to smooth things out. Just become soft and vulnerable and melodic and let the other people shine around him. And that's a virtue that's beautiful, I think. That's a virtue itself as well. Being able to know when you can have your moment and when you can let other people have their moments too.
Yeah.
That control of ego, let's say, is just absolutely fantastic. Like knowing that you're Art Blakey, but then when another one takes a solo, you also live them do their thing.
Yeah.
And actually make them sound even better. So that's my first, I think, experience, like full chaos just coming at me and then making sense. Yeah. That was my first experience ever.
Nice. And how did it, was it like a transition for you, like going from metal into the jazz thing, or what was how did this happen?
Right. First of all, I still listen to jazz and metal. Like they're two of my favorite genres. if we put it in percentage, I listen to 85% jazz and 15% metal. But back then was like, I have this world that I know of and I studied for like so long and I play with and learning fast what's a blast beat and when to play a blast beat and what's a growl and how does a death metal song going and everything. And then you have this beautiful world of jazz where it's still powerful, dynamic. And it's like they have so many similarities at the same time, not in the musical context, but more as an idea, because they're both musical genres that are very powerful, right? They're both a subculture, unfortunately, or no. You're not going to meet your average Joe and say, oh yeah, man, I'm listening to, Love Supreme by Coltrane and it's fucking killing, I'm listening to it in the car going to work. Yeah, I'll be like, what? The worst thing that I ever get is like, oh yeah, I listen to jazz to calm down. I'm like, are you crazy? You're listening to jazz to calm down? What? Excuse me, what? Like, no.
We're listening to Spotify playlists.
Yeah, of course. But it's just, it's one of those comments you probably get as well. It's like, oh yeah, I love jazz, It's like so soothing. I'm like, yeah, it can be soothing.
Yeah.
But to relax, that's a heavy one. So it was not really a transition, let's say. It was more about wanting to also expand my ear and my vocabulary on the drums. It came from that perspective also. I can play these things on the drums, but how can I become different also as a drummer?
Yeah.
Like, can I become something that connects jazz and metal? Or can I be that person? Or can I be that drummer? And that's the thing that really drove me, like that I have these two different worlds that I can take things from and learn at the time, of course. And yeah,
I mean, it's interesting because it's like, I don't know, at least that's my experience, is that at some point, of course, it's a personal thing. The fact that I was arranging so much different type of music,
right.
and I had to like go really into the nitty gritty of just the mechanics of certain styles. And I got to a point that really you would toss any type of music to me and I would just analyze it, because that was the work that I was doing.
Yeah.
And you start just seeing nuanced patterns everywhere. You start understanding what makes actually, it doesn't matter if it's death metal, bluegrass, jazz, Andalusian music, it doesn't matter. There is a component that makes it good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that component is that the people are aware
yes
of what they're doing.
Exactly.
It sounds so trivial and stupid.
No, it's not.
But it's like you realize also the approach of the musician.
Yeah.
Like 2-minute conversation, it's like, oh, you're all about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Not in a negative way. It's just that I will say something a bit like radical, you can say that. Jazz attracts a lot of ego-driven musicians.
Definitely.
A lot. People that need to be validated, people that feel that they are extending themselves through the instrument or through what they're doing in order to get that validation or affirmation or being seen, The real masters of this art form are doing the exact opposite. They're just communicating between themselves.
Exactly.
And they're creating a community around what they're doing. And it's almost like a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
In that sense, Even if you think also how bebop developed or hard bop developed, it was a closed community, closed quarter thing between people that played all the big band music and they would just like, can't fucking play this tempo anymore.
Exactly.
Let's go up, to Minton's Playhouse and like just play everything 200 BPM or like 400 as a, I don't want to say resistance because it's such a chewed up word, but as a subculture of what they basically created, and it was never meant to become what Miles afterwards with his quintet made it, which was like he was a mini celebrity. It wasn't meant for that. Then came the business people, and they were like, "We can capitalize from this. We can make money. You can live in a in a nice house in New York,
have a super nice car.
Exactly. You can all this like materialistic stuff, like the body, but it comes really from a deep place of self-expression. And I really believe that any type of music, when it comes from that level of awareness of self-expression, doesn't matter where it's like, which type of music it is going to be good.
Exactly.
You know?
For one, I don't have anything to say because you really explained. You actually mentioned quite a lot of things that I also had in mind in my notes. You're talking about community, and you're talking about connection. People forget that music is not a solo journey, you know, and I see this a lot. And it doesn't even have to do about ego. Sure it does, but I see a lot of this like, oh yeah, man, and I'm playing here, and I'm playing with that person, blah blah blah. Sure, great, you're an awesome cat, you're killing it. But man, it's like, do these people that you play with also have something to say with you, or is just they're just playing chops and great melodic lines, which I do deeply respect that stuff. You know, hours in the practice room and listening to all the records you have to listen to. But what about the people who helped you go up? You know, what about them? What about the people who show up to your concert every time? Besides that, they're not even musicians. Maybe they're your friends. How do you give something back to them?
Exactly.
You know, so people forget that music is not a solo journey. It's a community. It's a connection, and it's just staying curious. You know, and creating what music asks of you, and it comes down to the self-expression. And I'm pretty sure you've noticed when a composer or an artist pulls out a record, you can feel if it's forced, right? Because you're like, it's an okay record. But when something is good, 99.9% of the time is because that person put a lot of work into it that comes from within, right? So self-expression is key to what we do.
Yeah.
So preach, you know, I completely agree.
And I think also, like, it's, you know, we created these systems for ourselves, whether it's type of, let's say, award systems, you know, like Grammys, Oscars, all that stuff that are like connected to literally the calendar year, like when has it been out, whether it's connected to the algorithm, literally the fact that you need to feed it constantly with content to be able to stay relevant and above water. That it kind of dilutes a lot of that intention. Yeah. It dilutes it really. Because, we talked about it, like the solo piano album that that I just finished and we're mixing. I by the way, sent it to you, all the mixes, because you filmed the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
But it's funny because I listened to it and I realized, like, okay, now it was the time to do it, but I literally had compositions from since I was 23, you know, that I thought of and I brought it together, and then they kind of shaped and got a form,
right?
And I could play them. Now when I listen to them, I'm like, I could do it better. But that's an important thing. Like I'm just trying to show like the two faces of it. There needs to come a point where things need to be put on tape. Right, it has to, because. Again, it's my opinion. If you're listening, do whatever you want with it. I don't really care. It's our way of cementing something and being able to also move forward. Because you are changing constantly.
Of course.
So you wake up tomorrow, it's not you're a different person, but there's like this constant process that is happening. And when you put something on tape, you're encapsulating it.
Exactly.
Of that period in your life. And I believe, and I've seen it through just evidence from colleagues and friends, once it's on tape and once it's released, that's it. Boom. You can move forward to the next one.
Exactly.
You know, I look at the solo piano thing and I'm thinking to myself, I could do another solo piano album in 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if that will be like, I see it as my best work so far, but even if it will be successful and all that stuff and like, you know, the more like business thing, I'm not going to run again to do another one.
Right.
Because I need life to come into it.
Exactly.
And if you're sitting all day, and I remember that from conservatory times, I would practice like 8 to 10 hours a day and I would just go and play rehearsals, and it was like, it sounded ridiculous. Exactly. It sounded like absurd because I was so echo chambered in myself. I was just like, and at some point people would just be like, dude, it's like a solo is like 8 minutes, man. Like, relax, bro. You know, it's like, and I'm like, yeah, but I practiced all these things, and like, oh, you know, and I almost have like a hard on when I was playing, like, oh my god, look at what I'm doing. And then it's like people can just leave the rehearsal room and you will just continue.
Exactly, just continue playing on. Man, talk about conservatory times. God damn.
It's so funny in the conservatory. That's also how our mind works, is that you think like it when you're tunnel visioned and this like autistic like you think this is life.
Right. Like oh wow.
And then you get out of the conservatory and you're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, the real world works like this? Damn, I'm broke. No, I'm joking. But it's like, this is exactly what you're saying. You know, we get caught up so much in our heads. Oh man, you know, I want to sound like Jeff Tane Watts. I want to sound like Marcus Gilmore. And then you of course, these are great drummers, man. They're my fucking idols, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I still look up to them to this day. I don't want to be like them, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like I want to be able to understand what they're playing, why they're playing it, and get what I can as a musician and an artist.
Right.
But I don't want to play exactly like them. So back at the conservatory times, I remember myself being in the practice room for so many hours. Actually, I still practice every day for 4 hours. But back then, my approach to it was different. It was for me to play chops. You know, sound like Marcus Gilmore. Like, I want people to tell me that I sound like Marcus Gilmore because I'm listening to Marcus Gilmore. This affirmation thing we were talking about before. And in that process, when you meet with people to play, you forget about what's going on, the present moment.
Exactly.
Because your piano player is not thinking like Marcus Gilmore.
No.
Or a person who played like Marcus Gilmore, with Marcus Gilmore. Your bass player doesn't think like that. So what the hell are you doing? Yeah. You know? So it's all these questions that I think also the older we become, we understand, right? I also came here when I was 21. So I was not that young when I came here, but still went through the same stuff like you just mentioned. Being for 8 hours in the practice room, just playing everything. Even if you're musicians, you would still play your solo because you cared about how great you sounded on your own. Yeah. Which is actually, for me, that's the most important part of the process that we should go through. Yeah. Because that's when we get like a bitch slap. And it's like, time to wake up, Johnny. You know, it's like, stop playing whatever you know on the drums on every song. You know, let the music flow. Don't force it. Yes. Talking about forcing things, as you said, if you pulled that, which your record, I'm pretty good, is going to be amazing. And if it goes successful, then I wish that for you, and I'm pretty sure it will. You're not going to go push out another one like 6 months later.
No, Jesus Christ,
so
no.
This forced action leads nowhere. Yep. And people are not stupid. People see this stuff, you know, and people don't want to listen to forced things. As you said, our world is so obnoxious and chaotic. If you add more chaos into it, people are not going to relate with you. No. You know, because people need to relax a little bit or hear something that makes them feel good. So it's very important to understand that we got to be accepting our nature, right? And while you were talking, I couldn't help myself but think about Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism, right?
Meditations, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned...
Incredible book, by the way. Anyone,
fantastic.
It's like, that should be literally mandatory for every person.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Am I allowed to just grab my phone for a second? Because I want to read a note that I wrote down.
For sure, man. For sure.
Because you mentioned something and I was like, damn, it's like the universe is aligned right now. I was like, you mentioned something. So if you go to book 9 of Marcus Aurelius, at the passage 19, it says this: all things change, same as us. We mutate constantly, but also in a manner of continuous destruction. You mentioned change, right? You wake up every day and you change as a person. Every day is new. So I have a feeling that people are so afraid of change, you know, they're not really embracing that.
Which is one of the most absurd thing if you think about.
For real.
It's completely absurd.
Of course. Like the most natural thing, you grow old, you change. You, like from the age, as a man, from the age of 5 till 10 or 12, you start getting facial hair, you know, under your armpits. Your voice changes. Everything changes. And the most simple thing, you want to make chicken and rice. Are you going to eat the rice and the chicken unmutated? You're going to boil the rice. You're going to put it in a change. It's going to become nice and edible. And then you're going to take the raw chicken and change it to cooked chicken. So that's the most simple kind of change. And then after you consume your food, you feel like nourished. That's the most simple type of change anybody can see. So if we go against our nature as human beings, then what are we doing here? Like, what is our duty as human beings, you know? Like, what is our responsibility?
I mean, another piece of literature that changed my life, Metamorphosis.
I haven't read it.
Metamorphosis fucking took me 10 years to read
Damn.
this fucking thing.
Wow.
Why are you writing it like this?
They got time, bro.
It's like all written in this like absurd poem, and I'm like, get to the point that everything changes. No, but it's everything is in a flux of impermanent nature. You know,
Of course.
It made me think now when you were talking. One of my favorite writers, Hermann Hesse. I don't know if you read his books.
No.
Amazing writer. I love how he's showing basically not contradictions, but the two sides of nature and industrial reality, or basically the two, let's say, polarities of human experience. And he has an amazing book called Narcissus and Gouldmund. It's about two childhood friends that grew up together. One became an artist, one became a priest.
Wow.
And they went into separate ways. It takes place in the 15th century. Yeah.
Ooh.
And Narcissus became this like Goldmund. Goldmund is the priest, the mouth of
God.
Of gold.
Cool.
And Narcissus is actually about the narcissism that we have in ourselves, the artist, you know. And he said at some point that he was talking to his apprentice about why do we make art. And we make art, he says it so beautifully. He says, because we want to cheat the permanent state of death.
Oh, yeah.
Because we want to actually grab something and encapsulate it in that moment and make sure that we have that time capsule in our hands.
Exactly.
You know, if you think about it, you can just put in Art Blakey and like you're just there in the room, you know? Because we understand our mortality.
Oh, yeah.
We understand how impermanent we are, but we are doing everything we can to basically have this moment recorded and treasured. Look at what we're doing right now.
Exactly.
I mean, we have this moment right now. Forever. It's going to be online. This conversation is going to be there.
Exactly.
But by the time it comes out, we're already going to be in a different story.
Definitely.
So going back to this thing of jazz, I think also that it's beautiful for students to understand that selfish period will come to an end.
Oh, yeah.
That period of like, I'm just with myself in a practice room and I'm in this, and a lot of conservatories, they're not the most welcoming environments.
Oh, definitely.
They're very tough, you know. It's a lot of kids are coming, they're studying, there's a lot of competition just because of just human dynamics between us, hierarchy, needing to put ourselves in positions of power, testosterone, you know, these type of things. Lift, you know, lift,
Hey! The lick, baby.
But what I mean with that is that what I mean with that is that you're gonna go through that and you're gonna come out of it. And you're going to meet people that are going to become your community and you're going to build something with them. And that is what it means to be a musician.
Exactly.
Conservatory is not what it means to be a musician.
No.
It's one aspect of it. And that thing of practicing for many, many hours and sacrificing social, sacrificing sleep, food, all that stuff. Like, you know how it is. It's
Relationships.
Sacrificing so much.
Yeah.
Eventually will bring you to that point, again, of consistency where you will find your voice in that, you know? The another thing that it made me think of is the fact that we're in this world right now that things are like changing so quickly that actually stoicism and meditations and that stuff has been serving people more than ever right now. You know, having this cheap dopamine hits are going to cost you way more eventually.
Big time.
You know, it's going to cost you really like a lot. Whether it's you not being able to regulate yourself or actually even developing a neurodivergent brain, which is going to be an epidemic in 10 years. They're talking about 20% of all kids are going to develop some type of neurodivergence, which it means 1 in 5 people.
How does that make you feel, so interrupt as a parent, you know?
It worries me. It worries me a lot. It worries me.
Are you comfortable speaking about it?
Yeah, of course. No, of course. It worries me because, I mean, look, you know, I'm 38, you're 30. It's like, I had my first smartphone when I was 26, 27. I refused to have it. I refused. I was like, this is wrong. It's too many things just encapsulated in one thing. I don't want this. And then when I got mine, I was like, woohoo, look at this magic thing.
Exactly.
Did you have it also? Yeah, it's like, it's just...
I think everybody had the same reaction, right?
Of course. But, however, there's a big but there. Our kids, my kids, are born already into it.
Yeah, man.
They're born into it. They're born into AI. They're born into relationships that are through a screen. They're born into a reality where emotions are sanitized and chosen. Also, what I want to feel. What I want to feel, this is what I can get. And it worries me as a parent. We're very strict in the household, you know, about this thing. We break sometimes, you know, some kids are coming over. One kid gets something else at home, how they play together. But it's one of these things that, like, even the revolution of AI, if you look at it, it's a $1 trillion+ business that is going to just take all of us by storm, and it is already taking all of us by storm.
Big time.
And the only thing that I can do as a parent is to stay as present as possible in the day-to-day process of my kids.
Right.
You know, because not checking in and letting the screens do the work for you is what creates eventually that kind of like neurodivergent perception, you know?
Right. It actually makes sense because it disconnects the kid from the bond with the parent, the emotional bond, if I may say. It absolutely makes sense.
Yeah,
wow.
and that's the thing also is that with kids, you know, I'll take it from the beginning. Our brains are very different than our kids. Very different. Just even the development of it, the receptors, you know. You have already kids that are 9, 10 years old that are having already dopamine fatigue syndrome.
Damn.
Because they're sitting all day and just actually depleting the receptors constantly.
Wow.
You know? It's as equivalent as just doing like homeopathic cocaine day. Just the whole day, you know? Just a little bit. And it's like what it does is that it creates this dependency for the future that the parents have to take into consideration.
Absolutely.
They have to take into consideration. It's easy. I'm telling you as a parent, it's easy. Just like alpha brain, alpha waves, whoop, here you go. Just get into it, you know. But it's also really alarming. If you're out there and you're not a parent yet and you're like all self-righteous and you think like, I will never do this with my kids, you have a lesson coming to you. Oh my God. I was one of those righteous vegan idiots, you know. Sorry. I love you, Shao. I love you. No, but I'm saying righteous in that sense of like, I am I will never do this with my kids. I know better. I know this. And then you get kids and it's chaos, man. It's chaos. It's just like you don't sleep. You don't know what it means morning, night. You're like living in this serotonin, dopamine, like overflowing, and your woman, if you're doing with a woman, of course, hopefully, then it's like she's like in a completely different place with the breastfeeding, all that stuff.
Wow.
It's the thing that really matured me. I became a father when I was 25.
Damn.
So it's like it made me the person that I am today. I personally think that a lot of people are very reckless also with having kids,
True.
Just like, yeah, whatever, let's have a kid. It's the biggest responsibility that you can have, bigger than having a career, bigger than this, because all of a sudden there's an extension of yourself that you are completely responsible to. And also people say, I saw this a lot, like, yeah, you would die for your kids. No. You will start living for your kids.
Nice.
That's the major difference.
Nice.
That's the major difference. It means that you will find yourself stopping doing things that were kind of like trivial for you, and you realize like, oh, I cannot do this anymore because it just doesn't fit into my life anymore. Waking up at 1 in the afternoon, whenever, and going to, just destroying yourself and wrecking yourself and just doing whatever it is that you want to do. That doesn't happen anymore because there's a little person that looks up to you, and he or she, they know when you fuck up.
Exactly.
Like what you said about your parents.
Of course.
You knew.
Yeah.
It's not, maybe they tried to shelter you from it, maybe they tried to, but you knew.
Yeah, there's a feeling, you get as a kid. I think that's also my first time that I actually started developing my instinct. As human beings, we have this thing called instinct that we tend to forget about. And I think that's also falls to this having kids in 10 years that are not neurodivergent, as you mentioned. Because if there's no connection with the parent, how is a kid supposed to create instinct, understand how things work?
And you're so vulnerable as a kid. You're so you're in this, you're tiny, you're vulnerable, but you also are so sensitive and open.
Oh, yeah.
I had it as a kid that I didn't understand. I could see when adults were lying to each other.
Yeah.
And it fucked me up. Did you have it also? It just fucked me up. I was like, but they're lying to each other right now. They're just being hypocrite to each other. And you're just standing there like, so this is how adults are, I guess.
This is very fascinating because I read this book. It's called The Art of Body Language by Joe Navarro. He was a CIA agent, interrogation agent, FBI or CIA, one of these two. And the first moments that he started, because he's a native Cuban that migrated to the States as a kid with his parents. So the first years of his in the U.S., he couldn't speak English for shit. So the first thing he would see was the body language of people, right? So now after all these years of developing this instinct of reading people and adults, let's say, of lying with each other, that's how he became good at what he does, the art of body language. And I think most kids know when you're telling them BS, know when you're lying to them. They just feel, because I think they're still so innocent. So a moment there's change in a pattern that they have in their minds for so long, they immediately catch it.
Yeah.
And it's just very, it's also inspiring for me to hear you talking as a father, because sure, you're asking me all these questions, but that's why I wanted to ask you if you're comfortable talking about it, and what is your perception, because I also want to see you besides the pianist and the podcast speaker, and as a father, how do you think things through? Because a lot of people are in our industry, taking it from a personal experience, I cannot imagine myself having kids right now or in 5 years. So that's very inspiring, man, and very. I think you're doing an amazing work with your kids. I've never met them, but from the things you're telling me right now, it's just fantastic.
They're cute. They're cute, and it's also. I mean, I have a teenager, and I have I have a teenager of 13. Yeah, and he's a very beautiful kid, and he knows it, and he is using it to get his way.
Hey, yo.
Very handsome, 1 meter 83. Yeah.
Wow, man. He's 13.
Yeah.
He's going to play some
And
basketball.
he's going to fill up also.
Oh,
physically.
wow.
He's a surfer also. He plays basketball. That
Damn.
it's like he's just, Benavi, just wear a condom. Do me a favor. Jesus, please.
Listen to your dad.
Please, do me a favor, do this. We talked about it. He's almost sexually active. It makes me crazy. His girlfriend
For
is
real?
16. Yeah.
What? His girlfriend is 16?
Yeah.
Player.
You know, that's the problem. That's what
Player.
we say as men, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Let me be a man for a second. Yeah.
Everybody's like, all right. But if the things were different.
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
If it was different,
Oh, yeah.
I would, like, you know, I would
Yep.
consider a moment of momentarily insanity, you know?
Yep.
Straight jacket. No, I do want to ask you, what do you think the connection is between creation and destruction? Because you spoke about it with Marcus Aurelius now.
Right.
What is the intertwined relationship between the two?
Creation and destruction. Most things are created to be destructed. And it's what you said, like, remember your mortality, memento mori. I live by that. And my first actual exposure to that quote, I was 12. And I was in this super hip dive bar at my 12. Can you imagine? I told you, my parents were very progressive. They trusted me always. I was never...
Dive bar at 12.
Yeah, man. But I never drunk alcohol. I still don't drink alcohol. I don't take any drugs. And it's not because my parents were like, do not try stuff, or like, you're going to come home and do this. They were not like that. They were like, these are the consequences. You're allowed to, within, of course, a certain extent of like boundaries. These are the consequences. Please don't do it, because it's what might happen. And just have your eyes open outside. So I met this guy. I was like 12 years. This guy was like 22 or something. And he had this tattoo here, momentum. I'm like, I asked him, what does that mean? So he goes and explains what it means, blah, blah, blah. And now 18 years later, talking about creating something and destroying something, we were all born to die at some point, right? So creation also, I think, it's going to lead to destruction at some point. You know, this building is not going to be here in 40 years or something. You know, something probably somebody will buy it and destroy it. But for its time of purpose, it has served its purpose. So now it's time to change. So I don't see destruction as a bad thing necessarily. It always asks for something better or something worse. But if something is changing, we also have to understand that it can possibly be destroyed as well. Either you call it a musical project, right? Either you call it my life. At some point, it's gonna end, right? Eventually. So this relationship of creating and they cannot be how do you say this?
From each other?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They come in a pair.
Yeah.
Like if something is gonna be created, eventually it's gonna stop existing, right? So creation and destruction come hand by hand. We have to be able to accept both in our lives, right? And not just take what makes us feel good. Because this is what also Stoicism teaches, is that we were born to die, and we have to accept our fate, whatever that is. It's within our human nature, right? Yeah. To create things, and then, of course, those things can be destroyed by someone, of course, but it's also part of this human nature again. You know, some people might not like the way I play drums, and they can destroy my reputation. I'm totally fine with it. Some people, though, like the way I play, right? So I take from both worlds.
Yeah.
I never see something as completely negative. Destruction is not a negative thing for me. Maybe it needs to be destructed so something better can take its place, right? Or maybe nothing is going to take its place, and maybe that thing that got created shouldn't have been there in the first place. So it does not exist anymore. So that's my perspective on it.
And how does it express itself when people destroy themselves? Why do you think that happens?
Wow. Destroy themselves as turning to substance, or...
Exactly.
Wow. I mean, first of all, every individual in this world has a different upbringing, different background. I'm very grateful for the upbringing I had, not because I'm some sort of like perfect or whatsoever. I had a good upbringing. I had parents that taught me manners. I had a family that taught me manners. And I had a family who showed me the right and wrong. But a lot of people either live in a super oppressed society or a super oppressed family dynamic, or they have so much expectations for themselves. And everything else around them feels like there's no solution. So they're going to turn to drugs or to alcohol or to porn, because it's their way of escaping reality.
Yeah.
And I think as musicians we have this blessing that our first escapism is music. Now, don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of people who can be at a certain point of an instrument, and then they feel they have so much expectations again from their playing or from their careers that they turn into destroying themselves.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we see it quite often.
And I'm really feel for this people, and if anyone is listening right now and they feel that they want to talk to someone, I'm always open on Instagram, and I'm completely discreet about things like that. A lot of people came to me and asked me like, "Hey man, like how are you doing this training? I'm going through this thing and I want to stop, sniffing coke all the time, or I want to stop drinking, and how do you do it, and how do you do this and that?" So I try to help them from my perspective, but I know that my perspective is not that we didn't have the same experience with each other, so they might never understand me. But the fact that they had a moment of like clarity and a moment of like nobody judged them for their choices, that's progress, man. Because I think most of these people who destroy themselves just ask for help. Even if they look at oh my God, I'm going to this party, I'm going to take methamphetamines and MDMA and ecstasy, and I'm going to feel so good with the music. Now, don't get me wrong. A little party here and there, it's all good, as long as you're conscious about it.
Awareness.
Now, exactly. Now, if you're drowning yourself in substance because you cannot face your own reality or own accountability of your actions, or see your life as it is and accept the trauma, accept everything you've been through, then the only thing you can do to these people is actually listen to them. Even if they look that they're not gonna, they're not gonna get out of it, they will. They just need their time.
Yeah.
Other people never have the chance to speak to someone, so they go deeper and deeper, and they destroy themselves completely.
I think it's really important to understand that highly creative people also have highly destructive side of themselves.
Hell yeah.
However, to accept that synergy that is happening between these two aspects of yourself, of being highly creative and also being highly destructive, because it's the two polarities of it. This destructive aspect of yourself, and of course I'm generalizing, like it's not for everybody, but that destructive aspect of yourself can be expressed in different ways. It can be expressed in, let's say, working on your body, for instance.
Exactly.
This is a tough thing you have to go through. Learning hand-to-hand combat, for instance, Krav Maga, whatever it is, Muay Thai or whatever it is. Learning to express yourself in different types of metaphors, and not necessarily going immediately into like self-medicating and keeping yourself in that place, because eventually the isolation is what will kill you. I lost a brother to this, unfortunately.
My condolences, brother.
Thanks. He was an extremely important person in my life, and he had his demons, and he was so high functioning that no one knew. And then in the night that he died, he put himself into like such a horrendous situation, that it was like when I read the police transcripts and the court transcripts, I was like, am I reading about my brother? Like, this is insane for me. This is insane. I didn't know that he held it. And that's where the isolation comes. And again, I'm talking from experience. This is something that the family has been dealing with for 24 years.
Wow.
24 years of like, are we going to get that call that this happened?
Yeah.
And then finally we got the call under horrible circumstances. However, I can say that there is always someone to talk to, and you're offering yourself here in this
Of course,
amazing.
always.
There's always, that's the thing, you're going to suffer.
Yeah.
That's going
Yeah.
back to that point.
Yeah.
You are going to have it hard no matter what. Life is not an easy thing. It's not easy to be human,
No.
You wake up, it's like the body, this, that, boom, this comes, curveballs from left and right. Even monks that are in the mountains and are sheltering themselves, they have it hard, because being human comes also that physicality that you have in the body that comes with that thing. Because of that, it's good to find healthy mentors around you that can provide you the tools that are going to expand that arsenal of yours, which makes you a more complete human.
Exactly.
Be of service to others. When I feel like, especially for musicians, when I feel that I'm like too much caught up, also especially for a pianist, it's like a soloist thing. When I feel that I'm too much in my head, I need to have a conversation with a friend and to ask them about them, not just me. Because that thing, again, if musicians are listening to it, that self-absorption that you have is good. It's important because it makes you practice.
Definitely.
And you want to achieve that thing. It can also be your downfall. I know it myself, being like caught up in spirals of isolation and practicing, and then going to a session, you're all weird. You're just like, okay, and then things don't go your way, and your entire self-esteem is based on this like very, let's say, minute thing in your life, because life is way more, is beyond only that thing that you're doing. Your character as a person, the way that you relate to people, relationships that you have in your life are extremely important for your well-being.
Oh yeah, man. Amen. You couldn't say it better. That's going back to how we started talking about this, is that this is not a solo journey, right? First of all, thanks for opening up about your brother, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Made me feel very emotional, cannot put myself in your shoes, and that takes a lot of, and I hope you're feeling better. I know that loss is a never-ending process, and again, thank you for opening up to me. And if we just met physically,
Sure.
it means a lot. I hold a lot of value to it. I've never lost someone like that, and again, thank you for being so open about it and trying to find a narrative out of it, because I think we need more people like you that can be healthy mentors, to people. So thanks for sharing again. When you're talking about having the right people around you, it's like I was scrolling through YouTube Reels. I don't remember, this guy comes in and he's like, where are you in your life right now? Before you answer, he's like, check the 4 people on you right now.
Yeah.
Right? In Cyprus we say, δείξε μου το φίλο σου, να σου πω ποιος είσαι. Show me your friend and I'll tell you what kind of person you are. Right?
We said in Hebrew also. Yeah.
So, of course, having a healthy environment around you as a person and being selective.
Yeah.
Right? Being selective with your time and the people you're talking to. Because people tend to forget that every time you spend with another human being and you're interacting like we do right now, there's some energy coming out of my, of my body to you, I think. Same goes for you, vice versa, you think. We got to be very selective with who we talk and look at their lives as well. Not to judge them, but to see, is this person feeding my values? Can I speak to this person as if I was speaking to myself? Can I share these thoughts, my dark thoughts, as we call them, whatever? Can I be without a filter on this person? I have the same friends for 20 years, man.
Yeah.
And to this day, I look up to them. And one of them is Chris, his half Finnish. Another one is Andreas. And with both of them, we had so many things together for the past 20 years. And also their beautiful wives, Maria and Rena. They're so great. They're not musicians, you know. One of them is actually. Andres is a killer bass player. He also has his own thing going on. He has an amazing folk metal band in Cyprus. They play this Cypriot music with metal, and it's fantastic. But I look up to them more in the aspects of what values are they carrying with them. Are they just people? Are they kind people? You know, are they just to others around them? Do they have like this are they self-aware? And they are. And I look up to them because we're at the same age. And for both my best friends, I found their perfect partner. And I just value them so much, you know. And so one thing that I miss being here is them, of what people they are. You know, every concert that I played now back home, they came to watch.
Nice.
Even though they're not so involved with jazz, they still showed up. You know, they still showed up and they supported me. And it's not only the music part, you know. When my grandma died, they were all there. They went to their funeral without me being able to be in the country.
Wow.
That type of bond is very precious.
Yeah.
And I really thank them for being there always, man. And always telling me when I effed up, always giving credit where it's due, always not holding back and try to speak nice to me. If they had to bit my ass, they had to bit my ass and tell me, you know, you need to get the fuck up, man. Like right about now, you know. And that's something that I'm very blessed with and grateful. And I don't have the same type of connection with all the people here.
But you can't, bro.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
So going back to what we were talking about, it's super important to have people like that in your life. That even if they're not in the same type of industry you're in, that they can help you become the better version of yourself. Because let me ask you this. You talked about self-expression, right, in music. The more genuine you are in life, the more genuine your playing is going to be.
Absolutely.
Right? And I really, from a personal experience, I've seen it in me. When I was trying to prove something as a person, that this is who I am and fuck what everybody thinks, it would come to my playing. And people would tell me like, bro, you need to center yourself. You know, you're a great person. You're a great drummer. You play great. You need to center yourself. And that just changed.
Yeah.
Right? Mind you, by the way, I want to also talk about the people that I have around me in the Netherlands. A lot of Dutchies that I love very much, and they're helping me out. Like my bass player, Urian, he's a great guy, man. Great guy. Great bass player. Consistent. Great friend also. Had a breakup last year. This is 11:30 at night, right? And I call him at 11:30. The guy was in his PJs, dude, in bed. It's like, yo, bro, this happened. I broke up. He took his bike with the pajamas and he came, man. And he's out with me until 3 a.m, you know. This is the type of stuff that I really appreciate. I don't care if you're the best fucking musician in the world. But if we can have like a moment of understanding of each other, and that you show me that you're there as a friend first, I'll love you forever, man.
Yeah.
If you drive me to become a better person, then I'll never forget about you. So I always look for the comfort in friends, but also the discomfort. I want them to tell me my bullshit, you know. Yeah. I'm not gonna sit around and act like, oh, everything's so nice with my friends. Yay. No, man. The real friends stay when things are hard.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And when they tell you your shit, hey, you need to get the fuck up. Excuse my French, but I'm very passionate about this.
No worries.
So I'm also very blessed with people like that in the Netherlands too.
Yeah.
But it took me time, man. I really had to filter down on people, you know. At some point I felt the need that I have to, you know, talk with everybody and just share things with everybody. No, that was not a waste of time,
Oh, you learned from it.
Exactly. It was a waste of energy, though. Big time. I could have taken that energy and just sent a message to my best friend, hey, bro, have a good day today. And that's it. Instead of just talking to somebody for like 10 minutes and telling them like, yeah, man, I play drums and just text your best friend or text your mom or your dad. Check on them. If you have a brother or a sister, do that.
Johnny, we're at that moment of the podcast.
Oh, hell yeah, let's go.
When I ask you about the worst gig that you ever had on stage. Wow. You don't have to mention names. You don't have to mention
No. So here I am. This was last year, touring with some people. And we're in this weird titled name somewhere in German. I can't even pronounce the name, right? Somewhere outside of Cologne. I was with two cats from New York. Great people, Sujay on piano, Wolf on bass, great friends of mine also. So we go to this venue, right? I think it already looks a bit weird. Very welcoming, but weird.
Okay.
It looked like an old retirement home that then somebody decided like, oh, old people need some entertainment, so we're going to put a bar. So there was a bar. We're playing in this kind of it was quite beautiful, to be honest. Like, it was like this... almost like not a church, but it was very, very weird. So the first thing that happens that day is that we get a call from the Netherlands, and they're like, yeah, we cannot do your gig in 2 days. We had to change the date. And this is like already planned for like 3 months ahead. And I'm like, wow, man, like these
So wait,
people.
you're in the gig in Germany?
Yeah, and then I get a call from the Netherlands, like, in 2 days, you're not going to be able to play your gig here.
Right.
And I'm like, what? I booked this like 3 months ago, man. Like, these people just traveled like for a 7-hour flight. Yeah. And mind you, we already played like 4 amazing concerts with these people, and it was going great. So that was the 4th concert of the tour, of the 19 concerts we play. This is number 4, And this, I'm like, the guy, you can see it in their guys' expressions, like they were like, what the hell is going on? Nobody does that. Come on, we travel all the way. And completely understandable, right?
Absolutely.
I also get this kind of like feeling of like, damn, I brought these people are here. Because I was the one who got the gigs in the Netherlands, so I feel guilty about it. So what to do? Time goes by. The vibe was different. Then show starts at 8. Man, I swear to you, the first 30 minutes, 0 people in the crowd. And here I am on stage with this great, amazing, talented people. Already played like 3 concerts, full house. The 3 concerts were a full house in major cities as well, including Berlin. And now we're here in this kind of like weird named city outside of Cologne, like no people coming in. So, but the thing is, around 30 minutes later, like, people started coming in. So we had about 10 people, which was not bad. But I asked myself, why do I do this right now? These people are amazing at what they do, and I'm just here. But then we play the first set, we take a break, and then we go for the second set. Man, the second set was killing. We played the best music we ever played. And then after this gig was done, we were so much like, wow, this was amazing, and we played beautifully tonight, and everybody was so happy. I'm telling you, I'm getting chills again. And it reminded me of like, I come from Cyprus, it's like, there's never such thing as a bad gig, because the community is so small, right? Of course there's going to be a gig in which the sound is shit, and there's like mistakes happen. But at the same time, the fact that this was a bad gig, it reminded me also why I do what I do. It reminded me that we can still grow and connect within this bad gig. Yeah. So it's not really a bad gig. It was more like all these little things adding up, because no people. Sound was great, but no people, So that was my experience with the worst gig ever.
And best gig?
Oh,
that sounds like a very good gig also. I mean, it was like kind of...
Yeah, it was great. I mean, in the moment, it didn't feel like that,
Yeah.
I have to say, when Art of the Messengers, my quintet, came to Cyprus this summer.
Yeah, I saw some stuff. Yeah, it sounded great.
And it was a full circle moment, It came full circle. Because here I am, playing the music that I value and love so much, with musicians that I deliberately chose and love so much. And mind you, my saxophone player, who's a great friend of mine, Marius, is on saxophone. He's also from the same city as I am. We know each other ever since we were 15 years old and played together ever since we were 15. George on trumpet, he's also from Limassol. Then we have Yulian on bass and Daniel Bulatkin on piano. Killer cats. But me being able to show what I've been doing here the past year and looking at the audience and looking at my family, my best friends, and people who I was literally raised from and with. It was such a full circle moment. Like, it didn't matter if the music was, if mistakes happened or something. That energy that I got that night, it was so, I just felt so, yeah, man, you know, this is why I do this. But the community, the connection, the vibe in the room of that night, the being one, you know, looking at your friends being proud of you, or your family like, yeah, okay, he's doing that. And it's not even about, oh yeah, you played great and amazing. No, it's not about that. It's about showing the ones you love and you've been through shit with why you're sacrificing so much, or why you're abroad living. I live abroad for 10 years, man. And I do miss my country, but I could never live there permanently. I stand behind what I say. But every time I go back and I have moments like this, I really cherish them greatly.
Nice. Awesome, man. Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for
what would be
asking.
the advice you would give yourself from 10 years ago, just arrived to the Netherlands?
First of all,
With all the experience. Wear a condom, yeah?
no. First of all, don't get late. No, I'm joking. Wow. Okay. I'd say to myself, never forget why you started. You know? We get caught up so much in the goals and expectations of what we need to do or what we need to become that we forget why we started doing this in the first place, right? Because we have to be able to stay curious and creative for most of it. And before we started this, Joao was like talking about this friend of his that was a guitar player. Or as a kid looking at other drummers, I had this awe every time. I was like, wow, how does he do that, you know? So I'll remind myself to remember why I started doing this and accept every single thing that comes my way, from family illness to actually being homeless at some point in Rotterdam. I was literally living in the street for like almost 3 months.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
solid, man.
Wow, you didn't tell about the nitty gritty, man. Come on.
Because I don't need no paydays. Like, it's just a part of who I am.
But wait. You were just a second. That's
Okay, let's
thing.
regroup.
Yeah, but you were homeless almost for 3 months.
Months,
Like,
yeah,
what?
man.
Yeah,
I was still going through school and everything. I was literally sleeping on people's couches. So I was carrying a suitcase and a bag of cymbals with me everywhere I went to. But I swear to you, a couple of nights I stayed at the head park in Rotterdam. You know, and that was quite something. You know,
Wow.
I learned to.
That's humbling.
Yeah, man.
Humbling.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It really reminded me that I was 22 years old at the time, and even if I could have a bench to sleep for 2 nights, blessing. So that's why I don't care so much about having this fancy ass car or this fancy. I don't give a shit if that comes in my way. I'm grateful, but it's not really, as long as something is healthy for us. And something that is just to us and other people, that's more than enough. So yeah, back to the advice I would give to myself. I would say also 3 things. Stay grateful, stay curious, and enjoy the ride.
Awesome, man. Johnny, thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you for having me, man.
It's been a pleasure.
Same.
Is there anything you want to plug? It's going to come out in 3 weeks.
Plug? Nah. I'm all good. I'm happy. I'm
Some
just
gigs. coming
Yeah, I
up?
have a lot of. You can follow me on my Instagram page. It's like @JohnnyPlaysDrums. Most generic thing that I could imagine.
It's gonna be in the description.
Great.
Anyway.
So if you want to follow me from there and watch my quintet, the name is Out of the Messengers. You can find us on YouTube. I held this little intimate evening around May or something at my house. It's called the Late Set Sessions. And I organized this thing with my band. You can check it out on YouTube. And yeah, just shout out to my family who were always there for me from the time I was a kid. And my friends and you for having me here, man. Really much appreciated.
for
Thank
sure,
you so
man.
much.
Man, it's great to have you a part of this community that we're building.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Now Jean needs to cut, the close-up. Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us here. You know what the drill is. 97% of you are not subscribed.
Subscribe.
We are reaching hundreds of thousands of views. We need you to be on board and build with us this community. We have exciting things coming your way. We have some special guests, special stories, and a lot of laughter and crying sometimes, and being also sad and also being happy with everything that's happening here. So thank you again for joining us. Like, subscribe, follow us, spread it everywhere, become a part of the Into the Score community, and we will see you at the gig.